there's only one place to start, and it's not going to be a fun topic. It's just something we have to deal with. It's sobering. It's sad. And here's the headline: more than a dozen women allege sexual harassment and verbal abuse by former team employees at Redskins Park. So basically, and you read the stories in the Washington Post. Everybody's picked it up at this point. But the women describe an atmosphere, Rob, in the Washington Redskins facility and organization that was unbearable for women. In fact, the woman they lead with, Emily Applegate is her name, and she started working for the Washington football team in 2014. They say that she, and got it from her, that she would go and cry every day with a female coworker in the bathroom during her lunch break about the harassment and just the atmosphere that they had to go through. And it was just really, really a terrible situation there in Washington. And three of the guys, Rob G, correct me if I'm wrong, the three guys who really are highlighted as the ones who made these types of comments and all that have either been fired or left on their own within the last week when word came out that this story was going to come out. And so one of them was the longtime voice of the Redskins, Larry Michael. I don't know check Rob G how many years he had been with them, but a long time
I'm
voice
sure
of
the
the
people
Redskins.
listening in D.C. know who he is. That's a long time, yeah.
I think 16 years. I check that, Rob. But so it's that's a huge story. And Rob, here's the thing, and I alluded to it at the beginning. Writers from all over the D.C. area were tweeting out that there was a bombshell coming from the as soon as I woke up this morning, and this was it, and it's serious,
big time, from the standpoint.
16 years, yeah. Larry Michael, 16 years, yeah.
Okay, I knew it was a long time. I know that name. I don't know who he is. I know that I've heard that name.
Voice of the Redskins.
Yeah. Yeah, this was coming out. I thought it was. At first I thought Snyder was selling the team and stepping down or something.
I didn't know it was bad. You thought it was just him. You didn't think it was necessarily going to be a negative story, or you.
I just didn't think it was going to be of that proportion where he would give up the team. That's what I was feeling like. People were saying that something would come out
speculating on that.
That he would give up the team, or he was going to resign as owner and sell, or be like a Donald Sterling and forced to give up the team. So that wasn't the case. But still, to have this going on, Chris, and you know what we've seen happen around all these franchises. We saw it in Carolina. And what I mean, all of it's wrong, but those allegations weren't like this. There was the owner of the Panthers, but it was not. Now we got to make this clear. Daniel Snyder was not. He's not named in this.
Yeah, there was nothing about him really being involved at all.
Like him personally, it's just that it's
not at all.
The environment that was allowed, right, exactly, and it was people close to him or in his inner circle who were doing these things, but he is not NOT named in any of these accusations, right?
Here's
Zero.
Rob G's got a few quotes.
That's right, Chris. Involving a few of the former Redskins employees, one of them, former director of pro personnel, Alex Santos, told one female reporter as he pinched her, he said, quote, "You got an ass like a wagon." He told another female reporter that she, quote, had a great ass for a little white girl. Richard
Can you
Mann,
imagine saying that at a workplace?
Richard Mann II, assistant director of pro personnel, said in a text message to a female employee that he and his colleagues were debating whether or not her breasts were augmented or not, and said he was going to give her an inappropriate hug and to, quote, "Don't worry, that'll be a stapler in my pocket," end quote. So that's just a handful of some of these stories that were discussed in this Washington Post article.
A stapler? What?
Go ahead. I'm gonna leave you. Go ahead.
No, I'm
Go
just
ahead.
like, what? Rob
All
G,
right.
did you read that right?
Here's what this stuff. There might be some guys that read this. And look, I'm a Rob G and everybody knows on the show, I'm a Christian. I don't speak like this. But I know this is how a lot of men speak. You shouldn't do it in the workplace. I don't like hearing it anywhere, but you should,
but especially in
do
the
it
workplace.
in the workplace. Right.
Yes.
And here's what I say to guys. Because, look, I grew up in locker rooms. I haven't always been a Christian. I used to speak like this. Like, not like this, but, do stuff like that. Here's the thing. What guys got to do, because it's a new day. And clearly this was just how it was in their organization. And it was acceptable. And the women thought it was so acceptable, the women thought they couldn't do anything about it. And I've been around guys in workplaces who've said things like this. And I have 2 daughters. And I think about my daughters being in this situation. And it makes me want to knock somebody out. Like I tell them, if anybody says anything to you, even hinting at something like this, let me know. Not that I'm going up there like Mike Tyson, but I'll take the steps to deal with it, how, through the right measures, how we need to get it done. Because women should not be put in this position. And I think too many men don't think of it that way. Because a lot of men talk like this and do stuff. Let's not front and act like, wow, we can't believe they were saying it. Oh, my gosh. Let's just keep it real. And a lot of men, think about your mother or really more your wife or your daughters being in situations like this. There can't be any man, I don't care how vile you speak, how foul your language is, how racy your language is, how many dirty jokes you like to tell. Think of your daughter or your wife being in that position. And that, I would think, will keep a lot of dudes from talking like this.
No doubt about it. Did we get a comment from Daniel Snyder? Alex? I thought we had some.
Do you
sound.
think, Rob, that Snyder
let's
you said you thought he might, have to sell the team. Do you think this? Do you read the story? Do you think this will lead him to have to sell the team?
No, because they when this stuff has come to light, people were asked to leave or fired or whatever the term is, Chris. He's not directly linked to it. And let's just be honest. Mark Cuban had a similar situation with the NBA. He wasn't forced to give up his team, right? I don't,
No,
there
was very similar because
there was an environment. It wasn't Cuban.
It wasn't pretty. You're right.
But it wasn't him. It wasn't him.
But now, he kept one of the guys.
It was a reporter for their website.
Who
remember?
He knew had been involved, yes, with domestic violence. And
if you remember,
like
Chris, he paid his bail to get out of jail, and he was involved with something with a girlfriend or a fiance or a wife or something. Like he was actually harboring him, allowing him to have the bad behavior. But in this case, I don't see how Daniel Snyder, if you put all the cards on the table and you clean up the environment, you get rid of the people, Chris, who have done wrong, right? And you settle with the women and pay them and make it right and make sure that this doesn't happen in your organization and take responsibility for it. As much as Daniel Snyder, you could dislike a lot of things about him, Chris, I can't see where this would rise to the level of saying he should give up his team.
I totally agree. You hit it on the head. Clean it up. Get rid of the people who did this. Take care of the women, and he should be fine. I mean, really, I couldn't agree more. And again, I did think from looking at a lot of the tweets today that was going to be the case. It was going to be so bad that he would have to sell. But if he wants to, fine. But I don't think this rises to the level where he has to, because like you said, he really wasn't involved. And so I agree with you on that. All right, let's get the listeners to weigh in. 877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369. Will this bombshell article from the Washington Post be enough to force Dan Snyder to sell the team.
You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Adam?
Hey, what's up, guys? Long time since I called in. But hey, man, I gotta disagree with both of y'all, man. I think he's done. The difference between Daniel Snyder and Mark Cuban is a likable guy. We know he's a billionaire. They got a lot of stuff going on.
What's that got to do with it?
You can't take away somebody's team because you don't like
that
them.
That got nothing to do with it. Cuban was
closer.
Cuban was more related to the mischief than Snyder is, from what I read.
From what you read, but I'm living in this town, bro. We know that Snyder has a boys club. All those guys you name is a part of his little fraternity there. He doesn't talk to anybody besides the people that's in his little fraternity, these men. He knew about all the stuff that was going on. I'm sure him and Bruce Snyder both did. Like, this is what the fans have wanted for a long time. I'm not trying to project because this is what I want, but just be brief for real. Nobody likes Snyder. He don't even have any friends in the NFL. It's a big difference between him and Mark Cuban, bro. It's a true likable guy versus a not likable guy.
Mark Cuban wasn't always likable. My only thing is, and Adam, thanks for the call, appreciate it, is you can't take somebody's business or property because you don't like them.
Right.
That's just not. I get it. You're right. He's not likable. I'm with you. But you can't just say, well, we don't like him, so we can take the NFL is going to take his team. You'd have a lawsuit.
Yeah, look, is there more to come out? I mean, it was a long
I'm talking
story.
about, Chris, just based off of what we saw today.
Right. From what was written today, he was essentially cleared of it.
He was not mentioned by any of the 15 women that said that it was Daniel Snyder.
Right.
If you told me 3 women said he did it and participated, he would be like Richardson, right, in Carolina.
Yes.
They forced him to sell.
Absolutely.
I would be 100%.
I'd be surprised if this led him to sell the team. But
unless more come out, Chris,
right.
Unless there's more women or stories that we don't know today.
Right.
How about Paul in D.C.? You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio.
Couldn't disagree with you more. You guys are out of town. You don't know the inside here. Dan Snyder fired his general manager 4 months ago. Dan Snyder obviously signed the checks for these agreements that have been put with these women. And the other point is, what sponsors you think are going to come behind this and want to be a part of a culture which the lead of the culture is Dan Snyder?
Dre, let me. I'm not Dre. Paul. This is not new. This happens a lot, and unless you're willing to fire people, pay people the money, like give them a settlement or clean up your culture, people have had the right to clean up a culture in a business. It doesn't mean that everybody where this has happened. If this is the case, you know how many businesses would be closed down and people wouldn't be working? This isn't. You think it's the first time that this has happened in some organization?
It's not the first time it's happened. It is evidence that is more than just 2 or 3 people. This is news reporters that are part of this.
Here's what the story says, Paul. Here's what the story says. While Applegate and others did not accuse Snyder of acting improperly with women, they blamed him for an understaffed human resources department and what they viewed as a sophomoric culture of verbal abuse among top executives that they believe played a role in how those executives treated their employees. The worst thing is that I saw, he mocked one of the employees for being a male cheerleader when he was in college. And that employee was accused by some of the women of doing stuff. But I'd be surprised, like I said, Rob. You know,
we get it, Chris. We're not naive.
I mean,
that people don't like. No, that people don't like.
Right.
Daniel Snyder. So I hear that. Let's go to Dre in Michigan. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. All right, let's do Josh in DC. Another DC caller. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio.
All right, guys. Thank you for having me, man. Out of DC here. Man, it's a lot going on. I've been a Washington fan my whole life, but I think I know Chris is the holy guy. There's a holy rain coming down on D.C. right now. There's a lot of cleaning up to do. And you can't tell me he didn't know and things like that, but everybody has sisters, moms, and aunts. You know when women are uncomfortable. You can tell. You can feel it in the room.
Yeah, I don't deny that he didn't know. I bet he probably knew.
I really feel like this is one pressure step after another, and he's going to have to do this eventually. He's going to stay now, but, man, if he keeps slipping and sliding, he's going to be out of there. Thanks.
See, Josh, I appreciate it.
Look, you know what it might come down to, Rob? The sponsors.
It always comes down to that.
To money,
but,
right?
But because his name wasn't mentioned, Chris, it's a little different. I'm going to tell you, if one of those 15 or 2 or 3 of them said, oh, yeah, Daniel Snyder took part in this and he did this to me, Chris, we're talking about a different story.
Oh, it's totally different.
It's totally different.
But my thing is this, Rob. What if, I mean, it's a different day. And what if some of these sponsors are like, no. I mean, he mocked a male cheerleader. He knew he knew what was going on. He presided over this culture, even though he didn't do. I'm not saying he's going to have to sell, but I'm saying these sponsors have the power.
There's no doubt. We saw that. We saw the name of the team get changed in a matter of weeks, Chris. Did we see that?